Also, during the dry season, if the water is stored in the dams, what happens? The farmers can use this water for the irrigation purposes in the field. Next is afforestation. Trees are systematically planted around the reservoir, and it also act as a recreation areas, and it is also used for fish breeding, and this is why it is known as multi-purpose river valley project, because it has been built for so many purposes, so many work. Since you are creating a dam in a naturally flowing river, so what are the adverse effect and the limitation of these dams? Number one is environmental impact. A variety of flora and fauna as well as human settlement get submerged or displaced by water of the reservoir formed by a dam. Therefore, dams face many protests which are also supported by NGO. Such protests are Narmada Bachao Andolan. So these are the protests to protect a forest and a wildlife that has been displaced or that has been cut off due to establish a dam in the area. So this Narmada Bachao Andolan are such an andolan where the local people have revolted against against the creation of the dam. So number two is effect on soil fertility. Annual flood used to renew the soil. So what happens, the annually the flood, what happens, it usually renews the soil due to flood, but by creating the dam, what happened, we are stopping the flood to occur. And due to this, what happens, there will be a reduction in the floods. What happens, there will be reduced in the fertility of the soil and increased salinity. The reservoir that also creates no on the floodplains also submerge the existing vegetation and soil, leading to the decomposition over the period of time. So number three is impact on society. So what are the impact on society that a dam and a multi-purpose river valley project have? Large river projects cause large scale displacement of the local community. So creation of the large dams requires a large area, so which also affect nearby local communities, along with the destruction of their livelihood and culture. Poor farmers suffers as their agricultural land is taken away to build a dam. This causes a social gap between the rich landowners and the poor landowner, which have to depend on the rich owners, and they will be humiliated by the rich owners of the land. So these are the negative impact on the society for the creation of the dam. And number fourth is impact on aquatic life. So what happens if you create a dam in the river? What happens, what negative impact will be there in aquatic life is that fish in a reservoir of the dam do not get sufficient nutrient materials as they get in the natural surrounding of a natural surrounding or a surrounding. Also, they cannot migrate beyond the dam for spawning, and they don't allow they do not migrate. Okay, because due to the dam creation of dam, the obstruction is already created. So due to that, what happens, the fish will not get a chance to migrate for their spawning. Okay. And next is change in cropping pattern. So the farmers are getting huge amount of water from the dams, and they don't have to depend on the rainfall. So because of that reason, what happens, the farmer have already starting growing unseasonal crops and plants because they will get a sufficient water from the cropping pattern. So due to that, what happens, the fertility of the soil will get decreased due to by growing the unseasonal plants and crops. Okay, and next is territorial water dispute. So what happens? Territorial water dispute means a dispute between the people. So due to the so most of the dams are actually created in the borders of in between the borders of two states or between the border of two countries. So due to that, what happens? There will be a dispute between the states and the countries for to use the water resources. So for example, Koyna Dam, built on the Krishna River in Maharashtra, reduces the water supply in Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka. Because of this, what happens? The dispute will arise between the states and the countries. So, and now last one is excessive sedimentation at the bottom of the reservoir. So as you are obstructing a naturally flowing rivers, what happens? The regulation